want to talk to you guys about the idea of sleeping with a lot of women. So I want to talk about my journey because my perspective has changed on it. I'm 34 years old. I was the horny pickup dude who's been with a lot of women. I've gone through several different levels of the journey. And so I want to talk about my progression through it, the idea of lust, the idea of getting your body count up, finding a good woman, pickup artistry. But first, let's talk a little bit about my journey because I was the dude who was very antisocial growing up. My dad passed away at a really young age. And so I closed off from the world. I didn't talk about it. I didn't go to therapy. I didn't even go back to the graveyard. I just stayed home playing video games. I buried the pain and never went back to it. And so as a result of that, I was very antisocial through my high school and college years even too. I pretty much just smoked weed. I didn't talk to many people outside of my video game friends. And that was my life. I was a horny dude. I just didn't talk to women or have sex. A lot of masturbation. And then eventually the first girl I ever dated left me for another dude on my 24th birthday, at which point I was in a lot of pain. And I was frustrated. From my perspective, I was at rock bottom, honestly. I was just very antisocial. I lacked the confidence. I didn't talk to many women. My first girl left me and I was at rock bottom. I was literally in the gutter with zero social skills, depression. As I watched my ex date this dude in my town, I would see them at the gym together. I didn't know what the hell to do. So I started studying male to female dynamics, social skills, confidence, pickup, all of this stuff. And I really struggled with that for a long time too. It took me years to get good at it. Inevitably, I did get good. It took longer than I'd like to admit. But by the time I was in my mid to late 20s, I was actually at a place where I was good. I was better than most people. I wanted to be better than everybody. It was like this thing I was going to prove to the world. I just thought it was cool, man. I thought it was cool to be the guy that got women and was confident and cool. And so I worked very hard at doing that. And I was actually passionate about it too, though, because I just wanted to help other dudes. Right? My dad passed at a young age, I told you. He was my coach. And I feel like instinctually, I always wanted to help other people. And maybe that's due to trauma. This whole video is correlated to trauma. Guys being in pain, guys growing up without having success with women, being picked on, being made fun of, wanting to get better at this stuff, wanting to bang a lot of girls to get their lay count up so they could get validated, so they could prove to themselves or prove to their inner hurt child that they are actually good, that they can be accepted, that they are successful, that they're not a loser. There's a lot of identities that get created as a means of trying to protect an old identity. And to some capacity, or to some extent, that's what I did, right? So I built up this guy, and to be fair, I was cool. I wasn't faking being cool. There's a lot of dudes out there that'll say like the whole idea of pickup is fake and it's you're acting. And that's a whole nother topic, but my short answer for that would be like, I mean, dude, the way you speak, the way you talk naturally are all learned behaviors, right? Like if your parents would have taught you to talk slow, you would be talking slow. So learning to communicate properly is not fake or acting, in my opinion. That's just my viewpoint on that. That's a whole side tangent. So I did end up getting really good and I started wanting to help people because that's what I was passionate about. It wasn't so much about the lays and the women, although I did go deep into that to some extent because I felt like I needed that in order to be qualified to teach this stuff. So I really did dive deep into that. And there was a period of my journey where I was just trying to get my lay count up just for the sake of getting my lay count up so I could have like credentials. And it was definitely partially ego driven to validate myself, to show that I was cool, to show that I could be the pickup guy, right? And so if you're watching this right now, I'm not saying everybody's gonna go through the same journey of wanting to be the pickup dude, but I know to some extent, if you're talking to hot girls, you start to act differently. You start to try to be more cool, try to be more confident, try to not text her, try to do some kind of thing that's not you. Or maybe you use women, right? There was a period of my journey, like out of all those girls I banged, dude, I would say like almost 96% of them, I didn't want them to be my girl. And I knew that. And some of them knew that. And some of it was mutual, and that's okay. But a lot of it, I'm not gonna lie, honestly, like there was definitely some girls that like I played and I used for my own selfish gain. So if you're a dude, the way this ties back to you guys though, that's just a little bit of my journey. I'm not gonna go on a crazy tangent about my life journey, but that's a little bit of background about me and how my perspective was at some point in this thing. I then got into a relationship that ended not too long ago, and I made a decision that I was just gonna go celibate because I want to stop. I want to detach from the idea of having sex and needing sex and being validated by sex, especially if it's not from a quality partner, which is what I felt like I got lost in at some point. And if you're a dude who's never experienced that, never had those lustful experiences, honestly, I would say you need to, because I was the dude in my first relationship who never had that, and I just couldn't be happy in my relationship. I just felt like I was just wondering what's out there. What if I could do this, but I couldn't do it. So it wasn't until I actually gained a skill set and was able to get success with it and experience it for myself and explore that I then realized, okay, this isn't what I want indefinitely, but I needed to explore this. And so that's what I encourage a lot of you guys to do. I'm not saying you need to go out and bang hundreds of women. I'm saying if you're a dude who doesn't have, to some extent, an abundant dating life or options, or can go out and attract women, I think you need to go explore that, dude. I think you need to be able to, for your own well-being and your own sanity. Most men that I've coached, and at this point it's been like 800 dudes over the last 7 years, most of these guys, they don't want to be a long-term fucking Hugh Hefner. They want to experience some level of abundance, cultivate the skill set, go out and show themselves that they could do it as a man, because that's like a fulfilling thing as a man, knowing I have confidence and I have competence and I was able to successfully do this thing. But at the end of the day, I think most dudes, depending on their level of trauma, depending on their level of pain, depending on their level of goals, I'm not saying everybody that bangs a lot of women has trauma, but like a lot of these dudes do, and I know because I've coached enough men, and I've been in the industry for a very long time. I do think you need to experience it though, to some extent. You gotta go and experience it for yourself. And then from there, once you've explored it, you can then make a decision about what you truly want. Making a decision before that, to me, is like, I just feel like it's settling or compromising yourself. And again, that doesn't mean you need to do this with hundreds of girls, but I do think some dudes, it might be a very short flame. Some dudes have a bigger flame, but I do think you need to go through that fire or desire, lust, to experience it, to at least know. I don't see how you could have certainty in your relationship without experiencing things. Otherwise, how would you know? Or at least you need some sort of abundance. It doesn't necessarily need to be in terms of lay count, but you need to have like some level of dating options, I think. And again, every dude has a different level of flame. Okay? But I'm 34. I was a very late bloomer, so it took me a long time. It might not take you as long. But I do think these are important concepts to understand, guys, because there's a lot of dudes out there that are going to tell you just go fuck as many women as you can. And then there's going to be other dudes on the complete other side of the spectrum that are saying, don't do any of that. Pickup artistry's fake. It's all acting. It's all bullshit, toxic masculinity. I would say neither are true. And I've been on both sides of it. I would say neither are true. I'd say there's actually some validity to both sides. But again, you need to explore these concepts for yourself. One, because you're going to grow as a character. You can grow your confidence and the skill set and become more attractive as a dude without being fake. And I think every dude should be incorporating that to some level in their self-development journey. But also too, it's going to give you certainty and fulfillment later on when you do have a meaningful relationship. Because my first relationship was great. I just wasn't ready for it. I was too young, too naive, too fucking lacking experience. So how can you have certainty without some sort of experience in life? And the last part of this is the deeper meaning of it all, right? Because some dudes will say, banging a bunch of girls is shallow, and you need fulfillment in life. You need something deeper. Now, for me, I found a lot of fulfillment in helping men, not necessarily coaching men to get laid, coaching men to become more confident, to remove the shackles and the fears that they have that suppress their confidence. That goes for interacting with the world, right? So for me, it wasn't just about building up the character. It was also simultaneously helping men in the process. And I think there's definitely some validity to that, because a lot of dudes will say banging a bunch of women is just shallow and empty. And at first it might not be. I was on cloud nine the first handful of times I was doing that shit. And then slowly you get desensitized to it. And then slowly you get desensitized to it. And then every so often you'll have one where you're like, this was dumb as fuck. Am I really even spending my weekend doing this? The moment I busted, I want this girl gone. And sometimes you're disgusted about it. Sometimes you're on a high, sometimes you're disgusted about it. And it kind of slowly fades out. And for some dudes, it never fades out. For some dudes, they don't really have that desire. But then there's everything in between. And so I'm making this video because I want you guys to start to bring awareness to, like, where are you at with that? How much of your actions are being controlled by these concepts? And which side of it are you on? Are you the dude who's never gotten any experience right now and you're kind of like damn near desperate to do this? Because I've had friends literally backstab me and fuck my ex behind my back just at the taste for some pussy, which is a whole nother concept. But desperate men will do desperate things, so you cannot have those dudes as your friends. And there's a lot of concepts around spirituality and God and religion that are intertwined into these topics too, right? There's a lot of people that see dudes in the pickup say, this guy needs God. This guy needs to find God. I think everybody will make the transition when they're ready for it, all right? And I don't think that there's anything wrong with trying to work on your social skills, improve your dating life, and get more experience there. And if you are in that phase where you're trying to have more lustful experiences, explore it, but also be aware of why you're doing it. Understand the deeper reasons behind what pain, what traumas, what triggers have you had in your own life that are bringing you to that point. Because I can tell you guys right now, over the last 75 days, celibacy, no porn, no masturbation, waking up 4 a.m., going to bed 8 p.m. a lot of these days, it's brought a lot of awareness to myself. It's really removed the validation from a lot of different things. I've said no to so much temptation, no drugs, no alcohol. I go to a therapist once a week. I took a relationship course. I do my self-reflection and journaling in the mornings. It's been a massive period of analytical review for myself. And when you remove a lot of the validation from it, you start to interact with the world differently. I think everybody should experience it at one point or another in their life. If you're not there, you're not there. But at some point, be open-minded to, hey, that might happen. Because that was the furthest thing. I was so repulsed by the idea of that. Celibacy, what the fuck? I'm not a loser. No, it's voluntary celibacy. I'm not an incel. I'm not involuntarily celibate. I'm voluntarily. And it feels good. And that doesn't mean I'm going to be like that for life. You can double down on yourself for a burst period of time to really learn a lot and to remove the things that are shackling us one way or another. It might not be anxiety, but it might be validation and peer pressure and wanting to impress other people that's shackling you in the opposite direction. For some people, it might be vices, drugs, alcohol, bad behaviors, porn. Everybody's got their own shit. I'm not here to judge. I'm just letting you know, guys, I've been through all sides of it, and I'm still going through it. Still going through the journey with you guys right now. So just wanted to share my thoughts on this. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to work with me directly to level up your social skills, your dating life, your mindset, your consistency, your discipline, it's not about banging women. I'm talking about how to become the most socially confident, most attractive genuine version of yourself. Most genuine version of yourself. If you want help with that, links in the description. Fill out an application for an opportunity to work with me personally. It's Friday morning, 5:30 a.m. The sun's just starting to come up, right? Let's get to it. Peace out.